from the Department of Labor onto the show. Good morning, Dave.
Good morning, Chris. Good morning, Sabrina. How you guys doing?
We're doing pretty good. We're getting a lot of questions about people wanting to know what's the process if they're out of work for this lockdown as far as applying for the unemployment. So, can we just start there, Dave?
Sure. So, anybody that has been, which a lot of people have, been furloughed or stayed home because of the quarantine and not work, do re-qualify or qualify for my program, PUA program. So for those who have applied previously and who are re-furloughed or re-unemployed, they just need to log back in. Unfortunately, we were trying to scramble for a quick fix and with the programmers so that they don't have to go back to the beginning of where they left off on the weekly benefits. But the programmer is still working on it, but hasn't been able to find a solution towards that. So basically, if you're like last time you worked was in beginning of July, then when you log back in, you're going to have to finish those weeks from where you last left off and just basically fill them out until you get to this week that just passed. And then you would put in that for that week that you were affected. But yes, and if you're newly unemployed or furloughed, you would just go in and submit a claim just like everybody else has.
Dave, for PCOR 1, right? People have questions about their claims or other issues because I'm getting some. Where do they call? Are you guys? What type of services are available?
So, in to respect the quarantine orders, we've had to close down and all operations. So, what our staff is doing is they took laptops and everything, and they went home and they're fixing the problem claims. They each got a list of the claims with problems, and they're calling those people up and fixing them. But for this 1 week lockdown, the phones aren't answering. We're not going into the office. So just be patient. You can email the PUA hotline. That would help. Or you just go ahead and submit your claims and on the website, and that's working fine.
Dave, I also saw that you guys had a COVID positive. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, we had one staff, and I think this lockdown really was a big help because we not only did we have one staff, and then we did all the necessary precautions, notifying public health. We did deep cleaning. All staff that were had contact with the person were tested. So far, everybody came back negative, but we had like a dozen close contact hits from outside, and it was really creating havoc on the on our operations. So thank God, none of the close contacts. Everybody's tested negative, so we only have that one positive case in labor, and we seem to have dodged that bullet for now. And yeah, so that's why it really worked out well that we closed down and kind of get everything back settled in again, because the last thing I needed to do was close down permanently, and people can't even work at home. Right. So we're still moving forward with our program and fixing problem claims.
Was that the main branch? Is that what you said? Or at like one of the library satellite offices?
No, it was at the American Job Center.
Okay.
We had a comment here, Dave, and let's just go back to the beginning from Emma. For first-time filing, what documents are required?
Good question. The documents that are required is, number one, is your ID. You need to make sure that they are able to prove who they are when they apply. And then also you want to get a separation letter from the employer that said that you were working, but you were laid off in the date. And if possible, some check stubs, especially if you're self-employed. You need to show that you had an income, that you had a viable job, and that you lost your income. So those documents will help. And if, of course, if you're self-employed, any business licenses or anything like that. Basically, you want to prove who you are, what you did, and when you were affected.
Can
Since you want
No, go ahead.
And I did want to say that the $36.9 million is hitting the banks as we speak. So that will be a welcome injection of money into the economy and to our claimants. And we'll continue to, we're not going to do a batch this week. Maybe later on this week, we're going to try to kind of just regroup with our staff and make sure everybody is safe and healthy. And then we're going to do another batch maybe early next week.
What's the filing date on that release, Dave, of that batch?
July 14th. July 14th was that latest batch.
Okay.
I also have one more small announcement. Last week we implemented a new fraud measure. We're constantly looking for fraud measures that would help us in our fight against fraudulent claims. We had one fraud measure that we implemented last week, and it didn't quite do what we were hoping it to do. So I know there may be some claimants out there that saw issues on their claims. So we're going to step it back and make a correction and get the programmer to fix that that fraud measure. So anybody that all of a sudden saw an issue on their things should be rectified that came up last week. So we'll continuously try to figure out these measures and what works to help us so that we can move more quickly with the processing of the claims. And it's a trial and error basis. Sometimes they work. Sometimes the measure doesn't quite do what we hope them to do. But this one is a good measure. It just wasn't quite implemented well from the program side.
Dave.
So I just want to let people know that if they got some issues, that they should see it go away in the next day or two.
What about people reapplying? They don't. Do they need documents as well, or do they just jump back in where they left off?
If they're reapplying, not necessary. I mean, anytime you can get a document always strengthens the claim. But we already are aware of the governor's executive order closing down. So pretty much we're not going to require any additional documents for that period of time until we get out of PCOR 1.
Hey, do you have a calculated unemployment rate?
Do I have a what?
Do you have an unemployment rate? Any numbers on that?
Yeah, the number that we have on the employee separation is just over 36,000 employees separated, and that's out of 2,051 employers putting in the separations.
So do you know? So nationally, the unemployment rate I've seen it at 11%. So do you have any idea what is Guam's unemployment rate right now?
No, we don't have a mechanism to track that other than doing the regular surveying method. And with this quarantine, we were supposed to have one last March, but the quarantine kind of whacked that out. We're hoping that we can kickstart another measurement. But the states, like I said, are able to give you quick numbers based on the unemployment insurance numbers that apply for each state, so they can instantaneously get you those numbers. And I did want to say real quickly that we are putting in an application for that 300 federal lost wage assistance program. We're putting in that application, writing it up. Hopefully we can get that in before the end of this week or next week. And that'll help fund 3 weeks of at the end of the FPOC period. And so we're moving forward with that, and hopefully we can get some good news from that once we get all the paperwork in.
Okay, Dave.
Thanks, Dave.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Let's keep it. I'm forgetting something, but I'm pretty sure I'll remember it. Yeah, that was just.
Okay.
I didn't mean to say that out loud. Thanks, Dave. Appreciate it. Wash your hands.
Stay safe.
Stay safe.
Thanks.
Okay.
Hey, say hello.